Welcome to America's zombie apocalypse of emotional numbness. If you're a brainless, doom scrolling zombie, go ahead and leave right now. But if you're not a brainless zombie, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. And let us go ahead and begin, shall we? Alright, so for today's topic are the ice cold, emotionless zombies out there. And we're going to see what is actually going on with today's epidemic of the zombie apocalypse in the United States in particular. Let's go ahead and begin with the zombie males under the category of stoicism. So the stoic male zombie. This is going to be interesting. Okay, so the first one we have, first zombie. I don't cry. Crying is weak. Alright, so we got a real tough zombie here. He was taught as a boy that emotions are for girls. Yeah, that's really great wisdom from mama and papa, huh? So he buried everything. Now at 40, he can't access his own heart, let alone share it with someone. But a real man would say, in contrast, I feel everything. That's not weakness, that's humanity. Real strength is letting someone see it. Absolutely. You know, the man of few words is actually a zombie of few words. Because not sharing your emotions is a pure sign of not just weakness, but it's just a vulnerability that you create for yourself. So when this zombie says, I don't cry, crying is weak, it's not that he actually believes what he's saying. It's just that he was trained to think that way. But crying is not weak. But if you're crying about something that you could change, then that is weakness. Understand? It depends what we use the word cry for. But in this case, saying that I don't have to be vulnerable, yes, you do. When it comes to relationships, you do have to be vulnerable. You have to allow your partner to know everything that you're thinking, everything that you're feeling. It's not like you're reporting to a robot. It's not like they're doing an audit on you. That's not what we're talking about. You should know better, but unfortunately the brainless zombies don't know any better. But yes, that key word here for a real man, not an empty zombie male, is humanity. That word humanity right there, a real human being, is always open to discuss his emotions. Alright, so zombie number 2 within the stoic category. I just handle things. I don't need to talk about them. Here we go. Just that stone wall, that ice cold wall, that lifeless wall that these zombies put in front of their partners. He solves problems instead of processing feelings. His family lives with a roommate who pays bills but never connects. Okay, so a real man would say, handling things isn't the same as healing things. I talk because the people who love me deserve to know me. Yeah, so once again, this is about opening up your emotions here with those who care. They should care and love you. They should care about you, your well-being, especially your partner. Okay, so let's see what he says here. I just handle things. I don't need to talk about them. Yeah, so you're not a robot. And that's what a brainless zombie would do, is just behave much like a robot. But, they're just pretty much a one-track mind. But remember, these zombies don't have a mind. So that's why they do what they do. Zombie number 3. She knows I love her. I don't need to say it. Oh, wow. Just more heartless zombies. Seriously. He assumes love is obvious, so he never expresses it. Years pass, she withers. He wonders why she left. Yeah, he really does wonder, right? A real man would say love isn't love until it's expressed. I say it, I show it, I don't let her guess. Absolutely. And that goes both ways, by the way, because there's a lot of heartless zombie females, which we will get to, by the way, within this same category of emotionless zombies. But yeah, so, these zombies will complain that, oh, my woman left, all women are trash. Well, you kind of provoked it here, buddy. This was your own doing because, you wanted to be a man of few words, but you ended up becoming a heartless, brainless zombie in the end because you did it to yourself. Don't go blaming all women. It's your fault. So you have to accept responsibility for that if the shoe fits. All right, so zombie number 4 within the stoic zombie category. I don't do drama. Oh, wow. These zombies think that anything that has to deal with emotions is drama. They're so lazy when it comes to relationships. He calls every emotion drama. That's exactly what I just said. To avoid engaging, any feeling that requires something from him gets shut down. Yeah, it's just so... It's really ironic because these brainless, heartless zombies are the ones being the dramatic ones. You see how that works? It's kind of like, projection here. A real man would say, I don't run from feelings, mine or hers. Real connection requires real conversations, even the hard ones. Yeah, so if you've seen movies out there like The Notebook or some other romantic movie, whatever floats your boat, they're full of positive drama, but they also contain negative drama just for contrast because it's a movie. They have to have conflict, otherwise it's not a movie, unfortunately. I don't mind a movie with no conflict. There should be more. There's very rare movies out there with such a realistic, because it can be realistic setting where there's no conflict. It's just pure bliss, having fun. Unfortunately, that's not the majority, obviously. Like 90-something% of movies are all negative and positive drama, mostly negative. But yeah, so this is the brainless, heartless zombie who would say, I don't do drama, everything's drama. So there's no problem-solving skills, there's no creativity, no imagination. Brainless zombies, what can I say? Okay, so brainless zombie number 5 within the stoic category. I'll deal with it later. Okay, so the procrastination zombie. Later never comes. He stacks unprocessed pain for decades until he explodes or dies. Well, he's the Walking Dead, right? His tombstone could read, he kept it together until he couldn't. Well, I mean, he's the Walking Dead, so he never stays in the tomb, right? Anyways, but a real man would say, I deal with it now. Today's pain won't be tomorrow's baggage. That's a real man right there, not a brainless, heartless zombie. Putting things off because, oh no, it's drama. I don't do drama. Okay, so you're totally useless, the Walking Dead. You don't solve problems. You don't care about your partner's feelings, her thoughts. You don't care about your future together, contingency planning, or planning for anything for that matter. Yeah, that's not a real man. That's the Walking Dead. Let's go ahead and shift gears over to the female zombies, the heartless, brainless zombies, the Ice Queens. So the first zombie, female zombie we have here, I don't get attached. It's safer that way. All this fear, it's always fear with zombies, isn't it? She learned that needing people leads to hurt. Wow, that's so wise. Not, she sees, so she eliminated need entirely. Wow, that's so smart. Not, she calls it independence. It's isolation. Because a real woman would say attachment isn't weakness, it's courage. I will risk hurt for the chance at real love. Precisely. I mean, what did you think the price of love was going to be? It's not really a price. But to those who struggle in the beginning, it feels like a price. But let me tell you something. That price is all worth paying for. Because you pay the price of learning. Hopefully not the hard way. Not everything in a relationship has to be hard. But you will run into some hard moments, most likely. Doesn't mean you have to. The better you two tango, the least problems you'll have. That's realistic right there. But brainless, heartless zombies, they want to say, no, how about just no relationship? Wow, what a loser. The Walking Dead losers. The Walking Dead loser zombies. There's just hordes of them these days. They don't want to put forth any effort into the very thing, the only thing, in fact, that'll bring them future happiness. A lifelong, loving, happy relationship. Anybody, and I mean anybody, who says that happiness can be achieved without a partner by your side is a brainless, heartless zombie. Not worth anybody's time. And they should be alone. They should be part of the Walking Dead. Because they're going to eat the brains and, and everything else of their partner if they're going to bring them down with them. That's what zombies do. No. Just If you're going to be a brainless, heartless zombie claiming to be happy all alone when you know you're not, don't try to bring somebody else down with you and infect them too. Turn them into a zombie by infecting them with your brainless, heartless ways. Okay, so let's see. So the zombie number 2, female zombie number 2, under the Ice Queen category. I don't need anyone. I have myself. It's just, isn't this the same thing as number 1? I swear. She wears self-sufficiency like armor, but armor is heavy, and she's exhausted from carrying it alone. Because a real woman would say, I can stand alone and let someone in. Strength is knowing the difference between independence and isolation. Precisely. So you're not strong by saying, you know what, I'm going to live alone and I'm going to pretend to be happy when I know I'm not. That's not strength. You're purposefully giving up on love, essentially your future happiness, and saying, you know what, I don't deserve to be happy in this life, so I'm going to become an actress, a pretender, like I'm happy when I know I'm not. And essentially, yeah, The Walking Dead, because you become really old way too fast, and not in a good way. I'm talking like Scrooge level old. You know, like that evil queen. In this case, the Ice Queen, but nothing good comes out of isolation when you do it to yourself. And you're going to have lousy excuses for it, but, all the men are bad and they're all this and that. You're the one saying that garbage. But that's what brainless zombies say. They'll claim that living alone is happiness. That's what they do. When zombies walk around, they say the same thing, like, ooh, zombie, just moaning and groaning. That's what this is. All right, so zombie number 3. For the females, I'm just private. I don't share my feelings. All right, so we got another clamshell. Another oyster, not willing to open up and share the pearl with everybody here. She calls it privacy, but it's protection. No, it's not. No one can reject what no one knows. A real woman would say, I share my heart with people who've earned it. Precisely. If you're afraid to trust in this world, you got a lot to lose. It's going to be one hell of a roller coaster for you. Privacy isn't a wall, it's a door with a lock, and I choose who enters. Yeah, that's a really beautiful analogy, because when you lock your door, you're saying, hey, it's private time. You let people know before you lock your door, or maybe you don't. But when they see it's a locked door, oh, my bad. People respect your privacy. Well, they should, right? But, people who just lock everything out of their lives, figuratively and physically, they don't trust anybody. They don't trust, even themselves. Because that's the first person you don't trust. When you're unable to trust, that means that you can't trust yourself, your ability to trust in somebody else. You're lacking completely. So when you don't trust anyone in this world, the first person in line before anybody else is yourself. You're saying, I don't trust my own instincts. I don't have the ability to trust because you suck at it. You're a brainless zombie when it comes to the trusting mechanism in this life, the ability to trust somebody who deserves your trust, by the way. Because one of the most beautiful things in this life is when a person trusts you back. When they trust you with all their heart and soul, they confide in you. You're their center for their happiness. And when you can reciprocate that same amount of love in return, that's just so beautiful. That's mostly what love is all about, the reciprocation, the mirror effect. You guys are both two halves of the same heart. But we're talking about heartless, brainless zombies here, so unfortunately that's not going to happen. All right, so heartless zombie number 4 on the female side. If he can't handle me cold, he doesn't deserve me warm. What is this, like, can't handle the heat, stay out of the kitchen type quote here? Really stupid here. She tests men by making them survive her frost, believing the right one will melt her. But ice doesn't attract warmth. It repels it. Absolutely. That's all you're doing, is pushing every opportunity you have out the window. You're just wasting your life away. That's all that is. A real woman would say, I don't make people prove themselves by surviving me. I show up warm and let them match me. Right. There's no reason to be cold to people who don't deserve your coldness. If you have a reason to reject somebody because they're harassing you, they're abusing you, or they want to harass or abuse you, then yes, you can pull out the Ice Queen card. That is real protection that's necessary to protect your well-being, mentally and emotionally, and maybe even physically, your physical well-being. But if you do that with every guy just because they're a guy, well, then you're shutting all the doors on yourself. There's nobody left to blame. You can say all the guys out there are garbage. That's coming out of your mouth, and that's clearly not true. There's a lot of guys out there, not particularly in the US apparently, because they're too scared to talk about relationships and be a real man and actually speak well. I mean, I have seen people online and offline, met people also, real men, but they're far too few these days, especially in the United States. That's why it's a zombie apocalypse. Most men in the United States are just, nope, they're not worthy of a lifelong relationship because they'll pull out the victim card constantly. They really hate all women because they're infected with the zombie, virus and the zombie apocalypse, if you will. It's just too late for them. They're past the point of no return. You can't help them, And it's not that they made up their mind because, remember, they're empty brain zombies. So that's that. All right, so last zombie for the females here. I'm not emotional like other girls. I'm logical. Oh, is that the excuse for it? She has learned to despise the emotional woman, so she amputated her own feelings to feel superior. Now she's logical and lonely. There's nothing logical about being lonely. Okay, sweetie zombie? A real woman would say logic without feeling is a computer. Feeling without logic is chaos. I honor both. All right, let's go ahead and pick that apart a little bit. That's kind of interesting, a little bit deep here. Logic without feeling is a computer. Yes, because that's what a computer does. It works based off of a certain program logic. It's saying, okay, this is the right answer. It computates, right? It computes. But feeling without logic is chaos. Yeah, because you can't be this out of control ice queen either. Being in control of your own emotions is paramount to being mature, to being human, to being respectful, loving, honorable. You got to be in control of everything in your life. Your physical well-being, mental and emotional well-being. You can't be like taking off your stress, taking it out on anybody, especially those who don't deserve it. So less fighting, more problem solving, especially to the opportunities to those people that should matter most in your life. All right, so that should go without saying, but, many people, there's tons of zombies out there who won't even listen to this. And I guarantee that not one single zombie has made it this far, so congratulations. If you made it this far, chances are you're not a zombie, but who knows? You could be one of those rare boss zombies who's like really hard to take out and you made it this far. It's possible. You could be the nemesis of them all. Who knows? The ultimate, trolling zombie. Who knows? But that's all for today's show. Get access to my free 1-hour beautiful movie, Unforgettable, by simply becoming a free member on my website, where you can also become a potential guest speaker on my show, Let's Talk About Love. Let's see if you're brave enough and you got something to say about any topic that falls underneath the umbrella of relationships. So much love, everybody.